Okay, today we're going to look at Colin, who's a Reddit thrower, and he's on the left there, obviously, and a high schooler, and we're going to take a look at his throw. He wants to know why he's throwing too much to the right. Let's take a look. And there goes the discus off to the right, wobbling and not spinning very much. Okay, I think we can see right away a few things. First off, Colin, the wind up here, this underhand, it's going to set your whole orbit off, your whole rhythm off. Take a look at how Valerie Allman does it. She reaches around, grabs the discus from underneath with her left hand. Actually, she has her. I do it with the discus horizontal, but she's keeping the discus vertical. She's palming it with her left hand right there. See? She's getting a nice stretch there. Now she's going to look almost the same way right here. It's kind of a mirror symmetry. Okay. Now see how her left leg is straight here? And the right foot's turned all the way? Mirror image right there. Right leg is straight. She's fully extended. See how her body is vertical? Now let's take a look at what you're doing here. Right here, the same position. You can see how much more forward you're leaning. Okay? And that discus should be as far back as you can go. Let's see how far you get the discus back. Let's move on a little bit. Right there. Okay, this is a closer representation of the same position Valerie Allman's in. Okay, so the biggest thing I see here is just your posture. You need to be vertical. Here's your weight right between the 2 feet. Should be right here. Okay? See how Valerie Allman has her head right between both feet? So don't lean over that way. And get the discus a little bit higher. Not too much though. I mean, that's fine because you want it a little bit high here because it's going to come down at the front and then it's going to go high again. So you're kind of establishing the orbit pattern. All right, so let's move on to where we got the weight balance between both feet again, right about here. Okay, just before the right foot comes off. Let's move to right, just there. Okay, now let's compare the positions. You can see your left shoulder is higher than your right, so you want to keep the shoulders level. You want to keep that left arm horizontal too. You can see it's coming up high. Also, you want to see this left shoulder, the armpit. It's not too bad. It's near the heel of the foot, so that's not too bad. You can see where Valerie Allman's got her right here, and it's a little bit more over there, closer to the toe. This is fine, because what you have is similar to what Daniel Stahl does. He doesn't bring his shin so much forward or the knee forward. Valerie Allman's only one of the few people I see that actually pushes the knee out over the toe to get in this position. But what you should, another thing that's critical right here is you don't want to lift this heel to this high. It's going to make you too rotational into the circle. You see how Valerie has her heel pretty low here? She's just going to skim right over the top. Let's take a look at that next. Okay. You'll see how she's aggressive with the right leg. She's not letting her just passively come into the middle. She's actually kicking it forward. See at this point here, the knee is behind the hip. The shin is horizontal. Now let's take a look where you're at. See how you're coming forward with the knee right here? And you're just passively letting your body turn. You're not really driving that right leg around. She's doing that for some momentum into the circle. And also she's getting her shin here horizontal, keeping the knee behind the hip so it's got some whipping action into the circle. Discus looks fine. You've got for sure your left shoulder's down. Let's see, yeah, and your arm is high. It looks like your eyes starting to look downward here. Not really, yeah, right here. Let's take a look at this position. comparing you two. I chose Valerie Allman because you stop your left arm here at 6 o'clock. And it looks like you're just trying to look similar to what she's doing, so let's go ahead and just compare you to her. You can see the lean you've got over this way. That's going to throw you off to the left a little bit. See how she's a little more vertical through here? So we want the discus low here. See how it's the discus she's got below her shoulder? Okay, so you look similar there. She's coming around with the inside of her foot. See how her toe is upward? Your toes, it's not dorsiflexed, it's horizontal. Might want to get it up a little bit more. It just makes the foot more rotational into the center. And there's the push off right here. So when the foot's vertical, left foot's vertical there. Let's take a look. Having a left foot vertical, what that does is it drives the knee down, because you want to have a low knee so you can drive across the circle. So let's look at that same photo right here. Okay. Looks like your shoulders are turned already too much. The discus is way ahead. See how Valerie Allman still has the discus back behind her. So your upper body's leading a little bit too much. Let's look right here at the right leg. Because you want that leg to be bent, straightened, come around with a wide, long radius, and then shorten it, bring the knee, lead with the knee at this point. So that looks good. You're landing a little bit, because you started right here where you're pretty much between that, your feet are between that, with the line in between your feet right here in the center of the circle. So you want to land on that line or in front of it, to the right of it, and you've landed past. So you've gone a little bit too far. So right here you want to hook that right foot back to 12 o'clock or back a little bit more. You see how you just kind of passively, the foot doesn't do anything right here. It just kind of falls. Okay. You don't want to just sit there and be passive. You want to be aggressive with that right foot. Now let's watch Valerie Allman's foot. As she comes around, she hooks it around. See how it's continuously moving? Right there, it's turning. Okay. And it goes right into the turn. Toes. And immediately into the turn. So that's one reason we want the foot out like this and up, so that she can hook it back in with the knee. Now you see how much bend she has in this right leg? You've got a little bit of a bend. You'll have more, except, or you would have more, except your right hip is way too far back. You want that hip to be over the leg or the foot more. So you've got to be more forward. This knee has to be over the toe more, as you can see here on Valerie Allman. That allows you to rotate faster. Your hip is way back here behind you. Now if your foot landed over here on the right side or a little bit farther back, then your hip would have been right on top of the foot. And you can see right here the discus is actually ahead of your shoulders. You got to keep the discus back. See, Valerie Allman's got the discus behind her. The discus should be behind that shoulder, and that right shoulder should be behind your right hip. Okay, and you've got quite a bit of a lean here. You don't want to be that excessive in your lean. Okay, now let's take a look at your left foot as it comes off. You're keeping the knee down, so it's not bad. And then you keep the leg bent. That's good. You take a look at Valerie Allman as she comes off. You look very similar. See, the foot's down, the knees, the shin's horizontal, comes around. You see the right foot, it lands, touches, it keeps turning. See how the right foot and the left leg rotate together? Now let's see what happens to you, because you kind of stopped when the foot touched down right here. See how you got right here, you didn't move? Okay, so you're stopping your rotation. And let's see what happens to the left foot then. You got it around you, so that looks good. You had enough momentum and you kept it going. You are turning the foot. And right there, you see right here, now you have your right hip on top of the foot. That's good for rotation. I like to look at the picture right here when your right foot hits 12. I like to see the left shoulder facing 12 also. Let's see, compare you to Valerie Allman right at that moment right there. Okay, so you got the right foot pointing to 12 for both of you. Left shoulder should also be facing 12, which you're not doing too bad here. You're kind of looking with your head a little bit. You want to have that little bit more neutral in between your shoulders. Okay, not you don't want it looking in ahead like that. At this point, the discus is at 6, but it should be high. It doesn't have to be as high as the like a woman thrower because they have a lighter discus, but it should be even with your shoulder or slightly above. So the other thing you probably are doing here is bending forward. Now let's take a look from Valerie Allman right here. Okay, see how she has a bend at her waist, but not excessive, and the head is neutral in line with her spine. Let's see where you're at here. Right here. Yeah, this is what we talked about a little earlier, where you've got a little bit excessive bend here. Okay, and the discus, yeah, it's way ahead. It should be behind you here. You're losing some of that orbit. This is good though with your left foot. It's already at 6 o'clock. It should be at 6 with the discus, which it is. Let's take a look again at Valerie Allman right here. See the left foot's back at 6. Discus is back at 6 and high. Right foot, left shoulder, both pointing toward the camera at 12 o'clock. And let's see why you're falling off. I thought maybe your left foot wasn't landing far enough behind the right foot, but it did. Let's compare these pictures right now. At this position, when the right foot is pointing toward 9 o'clock, I like to see the discus right behind the heel, so that looks good. It looks like it's a little low though. It looks like you're bent here at the waist. You want to try to keep your waist not bent, but bend at the hips if you're going to bend. Okay, so let's look at her foot when it hits 3 o'clock. Okay. Yeah, you see how you're leaning back a little bit here? Before, your problem was you were leaning too much forward. Right here. When you came around, you created this arch in your back. You see it right here. And your head is actually falling backwards. That's probably the biggest reason why you're throwing to the right. See, Valerie Allman's got her shoulders, her chest bent a little bit over the thighs. So she's at the hips. So she's actually forward a little bit. Where you're behind, you're leaning back. Now let's see as you come around. The discus here now at 12. Let's compare your positions. Right about here. Okay. Yeah, you can see how your hips are too far forward or too far to the right. They should be lined up between your feet for balance. Your right foot should be on the ground still here. Your right foot should be coming around the left. It looks like your hips are okay for both. They're both facing toward the right sector line right here. Okay. Let's go another step. Yeah, I can still see it looks like you're still bent backward, like your hips are ahead. Let's go to the next section here where your shoulders are square to the front. Right about here. Okay. For sure you're bent at the waist here. You want to see how Valerie Allman's left side is straight. See how her head is right between both feet. See how your head is more toward right over the right. Okay. See how your discus this side. The discus should be actually leaning down. See how Valerie's got it here? But it's in line with the shoulders. You're not scooping it up. You want it to be here. So when it releases, the right edge of the discus is down. You can see your right edge of your discus right here is up. So what's going to happen is as it goes in the air, it's probably going to wobble, which we already saw. And then it's going to start tipping over it's already basically tipped over. You want to delay that tip over to the where the discus will rotate and fall on the left edge by releasing it like she has with the right side down. As you can see there in the air, that delays that rolling over where the discus will roll over and fall on the left side. You want to do that. You want to delay that as long as possible. To do that, you have to have the right edge down, and also you want to release that discus and whip it out and try to rotate it as fast as you can. See how smooth and even that discus is and level? On Valerie Allman? Okay. Now let's take a look at yours for the couple of frames that we have it. See right here? From right here you can't see the top of the discus, but here you can. So it's already kind of flipped up, and then it'll start moving side to side. See, now you can't see the top. You can see the left edge is down. Now it's even, level again. And then you can see the top again. Okay. So it's got a lot of wobble to it. So for the most part, this looked pretty good. Where you pushed off, your left foot didn't over-rotate. You just got to make sure that you hook that right side around and have this as a target. This center line with the right foot. Either land on it or just to the right of it. Let's take a look at where Valerie Allman lands. Right, smack dab in the middle. A little bit to the right. You can see the two white lines, the sector lines. She's just to the right of it. Okay, that's real important for now you're rotating and keeping your head between your feet here. See, right here. You want to be balanced. Okay, don't bend over as much. Try to keep everything tight. See how as you rotate right here, you want to keep everything as tight as you can. You can see how she's just going to spin right here. Of course, she's a dancer, but you're going to see how she's just going to easily rotate and keeps that everything close, really tight around the axis here. Okay. Yeah, left arm's fine. It's coming out long, which I prefer to have it come out long. She does the same thing. She brings it out long, so it's the action of her left arm is long, short, long, short. Okay, that's what you want. Now, something interesting I've noticed. I'll show you right here. See this position right here that Valerie Allman has at the beginning, and I talked about trying to hit the same positions again. Now watch as she enters the center. There's the same position again. So what she's done is she set herself up to hit this position and then hit it again. And having that kind of rhythm will help, especially in the discus. Now let's watch the action of the discus. It's low. It's low and below her shoulder. Now it's high, above her shoulder. Like I said, you don't, with the males, you don't have to go that high with it. So it's high here, back down low, and then into the release. Now this angle right here where the discus is, that's going to be close to where her hand hits again, right about here. Okay. So if you are coming through, discus is low, that's good, but as you enter, you don't raise it up. See how it actually comes down, the discus? You want to have that up here, as they say, on the shelf. Okay, you want to keep that discus behind the shoulder as long as possible. Feel that stretch. Okay, you want to set up that rhythm. The rhythm starts here. Don't start with this underhand. Do it like Valerie Allman, where she has it up high. Both hands together, and then you bring it back, and it would go up high again. You see immediately you're already bringing it down. Okay. And then you would come down, and then you would come up high, and then you would come down low, and then you come back into the throw high. Okay, I hope that helps. If you want, put another video on Twitter and tag me, and I'll take a look at it for you. All right, thanks.